Call transcript, the bottom of page 3, President Trump said this: I heard you had a prosecutor and he was shut down, and that's really unfair. Just for clarification, do you believe President Trump was talking about Lutsenko or Shokin?
Shokin.
Shokin. All right, thank you so much. That's what I thought as well. Mr. Morrison, you testified in your deposition that you had issues with Colonel Vindman's judgment. Is that right?
It is, sir.
And you said specifically that you had concerns with Colonel Vindman exercising, quote, appropriate judgment as to whom he said what. Is that right?
It is, sir.
You testified that Dr. Hill, your predecessor at NSC, told you that she had concerns about Colonel Vindman's judgment. Is that right?
It is, sir.
And you testified that Colonel Vindman did not always adhere to the chain of command. Is that right?
I believe so, yes, sir.
You testified that you were aware of issues with Colonel Vindman trying to access information outside his lane. Is that correct?
Sir, I believe I stated that I was aware that there were those who were concerned about that. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You testified that Colonel Vindman was not included on certain trips. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you testified that colleagues expressed concerns to you about Colonel Vindman leaking information. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when I asked Colonel Vindman why he didn't go to you with his concerns about the call, even though you, his boss, had no concerns about anything being, I think your language was, nothing improper, nothing illegal on the call, I asked Colonel Vindman earlier this morning why he didn't go to you and instead went and talked to the lawyers, his brother, Secretary Kent, and one other person that he wouldn't tell us and chairmanship wouldn't allow him to tell us. When I asked him why he did that, he indicated that the lawyers had instructed him to do that and he tried to get a hold of you. Is that fair?
Sir, I watched part of the proceedings this morning. I heard him say that. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, one thing that Chairman Schiff brought up at the end of this morning's hearing, he pointed out that you, Colonel Vindman's boss, also went to the lawyers. But your reason for going to the lawyers was a little different, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you had a few things that Mr. Castor and you talked about earlier in today's hearing, but I think at the top of your list was you were concerned about the contents of the call leaking out. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And that's exactly what happened, isn't it?
Sir, I don't know I don't know that the contents leaked out. There was a whistleblower complaint. The president chose to declassify the MEMCON.
Well, it seems to me you were prophetic, Mr. Morrison, because you said in your statement today, as I stated during my deposition, I feared at the time of the call on July 25th how the disclosure of the contents of the call would play in Washington's political climate. My fears have been realized. Seems to me you saw what might happen, and it sure enough did. Fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And we get all this. I mean, we get all this, and that's the part that gets me. We get all this, these hearings, these weeks, the basement, and the bunker in the basement of the Capitol, and 4 facts that we keep coming back to have never changed, will never change. We've heard from both of you today that confirm these fundamental facts. We got the call transcript, as you've both said. No linkage to security assistance dollars and investigations in the call transcript. We've got the 2 individuals who were on the call. They've both said no linkage, no pressure, no pushing. We've got the fact that the Ukrainians didn't even know aid had been withheld until August 29th. And most importantly, the Ukrainians did nothing as far as starting, promising to start, announcing they were going to start, investigation, did nothing, and the aid got released. I believe it got released because of what we've been talking about, the good work of Ambassador Volker and others. I believe that's why it happened. And yet here we are. And you called it all. You saw this coming. That's why you went to the lawyers. That's why you wanted to. That's why the concern was there. And that's the part that's most troubling. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. I yield to the gentleman from Ohio.